G'day, I'm Paul. Mitsubishi has just taken the wraps off the all-new Triton. Today I'm going to run you through the interior, the exterior, the engines, what it means for Australia, and most importantly, all of the cool stuff that is launching with the new Triton. By the way, I'm actually in Thailand right now with the new Triton, and that video with a walk around of the new Triton is going to go live after this video goes live as well. So keep an eye on the comment section below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon. That's going to tell you as soon as that video goes live. Let's get stuck right into it. Now, this is all very fresh to me, so I've got papers here in front of me. I've got our iPad as well, which has all the pictures, and I'm going to be drawing on it with my stylus as I sort of run you through everything. So let's kick off with the exterior, and we'll start off with the biggest change here, which is the size of the vehicle. So Mitsubishi has realized what is going on in the segment here, and they've extended things like the wheelbase, which is the distance there between the wheels. That's increased by 130 mil, which is a big jump forward. The body length has increased by 15 mil, which is the distance from the front to the end. We've also had an increase in body width as well, and you're going to notice that when you're following this on the road, it's going to look much wider from the front there, and you'll really sort of notice that it has a bigger presence on the road there in terms of the way that it looks. Tray length has increased as well, so that's now 35 mil longer too. Bigger tray length is going to mean ease of loading things into the tray, so it means you're going to be able to get stuff in. It's also deeper now as well. They've increased the depth of that tray to allow for extra loading of items too, which I think is all very good news. So let's have a look at the exterior. This is what the new Triton looks like. I'm keen for your feedback. First impressions, let me know in the comments section below. Do you like the look of it? It's kind of stuff that we've seen on other Mitsubishi variants in the past, which is that split LED light design. So you can see there that those LED lights are split from the running lights up the top there. There's a fog light down the bottom there as well. And they've got this black cladded section that sits in the top there too. Separated radar beam there from the Mitsubishi logo, and then Mitsubishi lettering sort of sticking into that front section of the tray. Parking sensors down here too, so front and rear parking sensors. You can see these wheel arches are kind of a reflective material there, and it's really kind of gone down the path of making this look a whole lot more rugged than it used to be, which I think is all part of the appeal of these dual cab utes these days. If you have a look at it from the side profile as well, you can see a bit more detail there around the back end with how they've done those wheel arches. It is interesting, there is a cutout there on the wheel arch for the fuel filler. It's an enormous fuel filler, and I think it's obviously a design thing that they've gone with there, that it cuts into there. I think it kind of looks okay. This looks like it has plastic side steps, similar to what we've seen in other dual cab utes in this segment. It's one of the things I kind of complain about as well. If this is off-road capable, you want those stronger side steps. You want something like a Ranger Raptor where it looks like it's indestructible. It isn't going to fall apart the second you touch a rock. You have visible roof rails there, black, and then also this sail plane down the back there too, with Mitsubishi written on there. Indicators there in the wing mirrors. Have a look at this though. If we zoom into this, I can see drum brakes, and if this is the highest trim level, it is really surprising to me that Mitsubishi has launched a brand new car on a brand new platform, and they've gone down the path of drum brakes instead of disc brakes like most of the other competitors in this segment that are starting to charge a bit more for their vehicles. So that is interesting. But I do like these side design elements. You can see that that stamping there on the side of the vehicle, a little bit of a taper there on that rear window. And given that there is more wheelbase here, it should also mean that there's more room inside the cabin too, which is always a good thing. So let's have a look at the back of the Triton. It's okay, so I've immediately spotted something there. Have a look at that. So that is your reverse camera. It's not in line with where the tow bar is going to be. It's one of the gripes that we had when we did our big ute test when we were loading a trailer on. Having an offset camera means the guidelines don't sit central to where the trailer is getting connected. We've seen in Ranger, for example, they've put the camera right center there, so when you are loading a trailer, it is much easier to connect, and there's no sort of issues there. I do like this tapering on the rear lights there. They do look like they're halogen. Doesn't appear like they're going down the path of LED in the back there. Again, we'll wait till we see that in person to confirm that, but a little bit disappointing with them sort of going down that path. Have a look at this though. So Nissan with the Navara, they actually removed this plastic cap along the top of that tailgate. And if you are actually using this as a trades vehicle and have stuff sticking out the back and it's resting on that tray, you are going to be doing damage to that paintwork. So it is good to see that they have that plastic lip on there to prevent damage to your tray's paintwork as you're doing it. Also like this as well, we saw this on the Ford Ranger. They've integrated the stoplight onto the actual tailgate. Now the big benefit benefit of this is that if you do fit a canopy, your stoplight was previously up here, and it meant that if you did fit a canopy, you don't see a stoplight anymore, and you've got to make sure that the canopy has a stoplight. So by putting it in there, it's always going to be visible, which I think is great news. Down the back here, one of the spec changes is 3.5 tonne brake towing capacity. So it's gone up from 3,100 kilos, and that will mean that the engine is beefier as well. And I'll get to the engine in just a second. But look, I think the rear of this is sort of pretty resolved. I do like this orange color. It stands out pretty nicely there, which is cool. We do have another spec to show you here. So this is the high level grade. That one that you first saw was the highest level. And you can see here, instead of having the black sections at the front, they've gone down the path of chrome. So that kind of is a little flashier down the front there, but same story again, radar sensor there, parking sensors as well. Different wheel design, and also no visible cladding there over the wheel arches. There is just that body coloured setup just here. There is no huge plastic cladding there, but similar side steps as well, and indicators built into the wing mirror too. Aerial up the front here, so a stubby sort of aerial, similar to what we've seen on the Ford Ranger, and chrome mirror caps as well. Jump to the back of the high level trim here to give you a look at that. So unsurprisingly, same location there for the camera, more chrome there as well. Triton badge off to the side, Mitsubishi there, and then sort of like a grey silvery look there to the actual rear tray of the vehicle. So yeah, look, it's, I don't know, what do you reckon about the design? Let me know what you think in the comments section below. Do you think they've done enough with this, given it is a brand new vehicle, or do you think they could have done a little bit more there with the design to make it work? So let me know what you reckon in the comments section below. Okie dokie, so this is what the interior looks like. So we're going to start off with the high level trim. So that is one down from the highest level. Obviously we don't have the exact model grades just yet, but this just gives you an indication of where you're going to be sitting in that range. So you've got two different setups you can have here. So screen in the center there is a 9-inch display. This looks very familiar to what we've seen with things like the Outlander. You've got shortcuts down the bottom there. You've also got buttons on the bottom section of the screen. Physical knobs as well, and it's a touch screen too. If this is anything like the Outlander, it's going to come with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Down here as well, thank goodness they actually have physical switches for things like climate control. When we've driven things like new Amarok, for example, you've got to dive through screens to do even basic functions like putting it on recycled air. So it's good to see they've thought of that and kept everything in that position. I can see the starter button down there as well, which is good news. Steering wheel, yeah, look, pretty straightforward design, but again, buttons are easy to access. Everything sort of makes a fair bit of sense there. Nothing sort of too out of the ordinary. And then if we jump into the actual cluster there ahead of the driver, I'll show you what that looks like. So you can see there you've got a smaller, I think it's a 7-inch display ahead of the driver there. So that's going to give you critical functions like your trip computer and that kind of thing. Obviously not a big display like we're seeing on things like Ranger and Amarok. So this is a step back from some of these other vehicles in the segment that are launching with those bigger screens. So it is interesting to see Mitsubishi taking that slightly more conservative approach instead of throwing the kitchen sink at this in terms of their infotainment setup, because you've got to think of stuff like Outlander that actually has a full digital display in the background there. So they have that technology available to them. Why they haven't included it here is kind of a strange move, I reckon. What else have we got here? So Super Select makes a return, and I'll run you through that in just a second in terms of how that's going to work when it's paired to the engine. There's new drive modes there as well, and then you can see hill descent control switch there. A lot of piano black. Hopefully it doesn't look nasty in person, but you know what my feelings are on piano black. Jumping up to the highest trim level. So this is the bee's knees when it comes to the Triton range. Immediately up the top there, I can see sunglasses holder, which is great. You've got auto dimming rear vision mirror. If we jump down here, have a look at this. We have cup holders that pop out of there, which is good news. Textured material here on this top glove box. So they've gone for that softer approach, making this look and feel a little more premium. Another glove box down the bottom there as well. What else have we got here? 12-volt outlet here. I did spy just before some USB connections behind here, USB-C and USB-A. Air vents up the top here, and then if we jump over to the side, you can see they've gone with that faux carbon fiber look over there as well, which is interesting to see. And then the softer padded sections over here on the door too. What other views have we got available to us here? That steering wheel actually looks pretty cool as well. It's like looks like a blue sort of leather material as opposed to being black, so definitely looks different to the grey just beneath it. Now these seats look interesting. Have a look at this. They've got like an Alcantara finish there, which I love the look of, and then on the sides as well with that orange leather setup. So pretty sort of impressive there. Oh, that's interesting. physical handbrake, so they haven't gone down the path of the electrically actuated handbrake, which is, again, different to other vehicles in the segment. If you look at Amarok and Ranger, they've gone down the path of that, and I suspect the new generation of the Hilux will go down the path of an electrically actuated park brake as well. I'll be curious to see if on the wing mirror they actually have a USB outlet like Ford has fitted to Ranger. Now, it doesn't look like it, so you can't see anything up the top there, so it's just a sort of a pretty straightforward setup. There is a section up here for an SOS switch though, which indicates they're going to have that remote connectivity system with an embedded SIM within the car. I've also just noticed this too. It's a bit disappointing. So they've gone down the path of using a recirculated air system for the second row. What other brands do is plumb air vents into the back seat for the passengers so they get fresh, cooled air, whereas this actually just takes air from inside the cabin and then spits it back out for your rear passengers. So they're going to be getting the same air. It won't be fresh air like you would sort of expect it to be, which is a little bit disappointing. I think they could have perhaps gone to a little bit more effort there to make that happen. And I'll be curious to see how much leg room we actually have in the second row when we do jump inside it. And just a quick shot here of the back seat, so you can see center armrest there with 2 cup holders. No grips in there for drinks, so you're just going to pop them in, and one looks deeper than the other. But that seat texture continues in the back there too, which is cool, with that ribbing as well to keep you nice and comfortable. And you can see here in the back as well, you've got a USB-C, USB-A and a 12-volt outlet, but no air vents featured within that top section. Okay, let's run through engines. And for Australia, we are probably just going to get the one set of engines. We don't know exactly just yet what we're going to be receiving, but it's a newly developed ladder frame, so 65% greater cross-sectional area than the previous model, has a bending rigidity of 40% and a torsional rigidity of 60%. I'm not exactly sure what that means. Typically, they would quote numbers that are stronger than the previous generation, but this just says it's a bending rigidity of 40%, so I don't exactly know what that means. But the engine that you're looking at here, they've called it the 4N16. It's a clean diesel engine, and it comes in 3 different outputs. The key number though for Australia is 2.4 litre twin turbocharged diesel, so similar engine to the Navara, 150 kilowatts of power, 470 newton meters of torque. So it is already launching down on things like Hilux and Ranger, both of which offer 500 newton meters of torque. So it is interesting to see that they haven't really gone for anything higher than that. It also uses 6-speed automatic transmission. 6-speed manual will be available as well down the track, but for the moment it will just be launching with the 6-speed auto. Can see under the bonnet there as well, you've got a single battery just here. Doesn't appear there's any room there for a second battery under the bonnet. All of these spaces are already taken, so I don't think you can fit a secondary battery under there. Other engines that are going to launch globally with Triton, another 2 sets of power outputs, 135 kilowatts and 430 newton meters, and finally 110 kilowatts and 330 newton meters. They all have a VG turbocharger, so I think that's a variable geometry turbocharger. They haven't expanded on exactly what that means. The engine here and the changes to the chassis are the reason this has now been able to go up to a 3.5-ton brake to towing capacity. In terms of other features that they've added to this, you've got your Super Select 4-wheel drive system. It says here that we're going to see a torque sensing limited slip differential. I think that's a braking type system. Also Super Select 2 4-wheel drive system. Now that system's great because it allows you to run the vehicle in 2-wheel drive high range, 4-wheel drive high range on sealed surfaces, 4-wheel drive high range with center diff locked for unsealed surfaces, and also 4-wheel drive low range. The good news as well is that when it is set up to its 4-wheel drive high range mode, it's 40% torque to the front, 60% torque to the rear. So it gives you that rear wheel drive feel even when it is in its 4-wheel drive mode. They've also now included 7 drive modes, which includes on-road modes. So that's an increase over the 4 off-road modes that they had previously. So along with normal mode that's available in 4-wheel drive mode, 2-wheel drive offers Eco, 4H offers gravel and snow, and then your 4-wheel drive high range, lock center diff, and low range also offer a raft of different 4-wheel drive modes there. It also comes with a rear differential lock. We don't know yet whether that's engaged or able to be engaged in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive high range. I suspect this is one of the types that is only going to work either in 4-wheel drive low range or the 4-wheel drive high range with center diff locked as well. Now, what does all this mean for safety when it comes to driving the new Triton? So it comes with a class first driver monitoring system. system. Typically that's a little camera that watches what you're doing and warns you if you're about to fall asleep or get distracted behind the wheel. You've got forward AEB with pedestrian and cyclist detection, along with the junction assist. You have rear AEB as well, which is excellent news. Blind spot monitoring. They're also fitting active yaw control and adaptive cruise control to automatic transmission models. Active yaw control basically allows the vehicle to brake individual wheels as it's going around a corner. We've tested this before in other Mitsubishi products and it actually works really well, so I'm excited to see how this feels behind the wheel of the Triton too. Now let's talk about Australia and what this means for the Australian market. So the vehicle goes on sale here in Australia from February 2024. Basically production will commence for the Australian market in Thailand from December. It'll arrive in February 2024 and be available to order. The first market that this goes on sale in is Thailand, and it's available to buy immediately there. Australia's going to get 5 different grades. We've got entry-level GLX, which is a 4x2, GLX Plus, which is a 4x4, GLX, which is a 4x4, GLS, which is a 4x4, and GSR, which is a 4x4. All of those vehicles will come with the same diesel engine, and all of those will come with 6-speed automatic transmission. It will launch initially with club cab and double cab. Later on, we're going to see cab chassis and also manual available. In addition to that, the GLS is going to be available with a leather option package as well for the Australian market. There's also been a lot of work done here in Australia on the next generation Triton as well. So they've done a whole lot of testing in Australia in terms of load management and also off-roading as well. So we're hoping that that means this will actually be quite suitable to the Australian market, and they've hot weather tested it, got the ride set up so it actually competes nicely with its other peers in this segment. So I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes. Okay, so that has been your first look at the Mitsubishi Triton. Now do remember that I'm actually in Thailand right now filming a walk around with the actual car. When that goes live, you're going to see a card on the screen and also a link in the description below that will take you to that video so you can check that out and see what my initial reaction to this is in person. What do you think about this? Let me know in the comments section below. Obviously I haven't seen it yet in person, but 470 Newton meters, rear drum brakes, kind of the headline numbers there aren't amazing me straight out of the bat. This is a brand new car. I would have thought they would try and go head to head with things like the new Ranger, but we will wait to see pricing for the Australian market and also how this actually feels behind the wheel when we finally get a chance to drive it. I'm super keen for your feedback though. Are you a Triton customer? Are you looking at buying something in this segment? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think of this? Do you think they've done enough with it? Are you excited by that top spec grade that has the wheel arch cladding and all that sort of fun stuff? Let me know down in the comment section below. If you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon, that'll notify you when we do get hands-on with the car and when other details on the new Triton go live. But until next time, take it easy.